being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. Some songs are difficult to play even after decades of being written, and even for a Beatle. According to Mr. McCartney himself, this is one of those bass lines that's just odd, complex, and very difficult to sing and play at the same time. Since it's part of Sgt. Pepper's and the band had stopped playing live a year prior to its release, it was never really a need. But, Macca being Macca, he started playing it live in his solo shows. The song starts with chords and goes into an infinite walking line. The feel changes drastically right after with a combination of 8th and 16th notes played over a 6/8 time signature. It requires dotted 8th notes and releases tension with a melodic line before going back to a regular 4/4 time signature. Before the end, the bass line slows down, ending on a whole note that fades away. According to Paul, it's one of his favorite all-time Beatles bass lines. Penny Lane. Paul McCartney plays all his arsenal of moves in this Beatles song. Perhaps it can be said that there was a bit of influence from Brian Wilson in his use of bass as a counterpoint melody to the main one, rather than using it as a rhythmic accompaniment. This is evident from the start, with that singable line played an octave high. Followed by a wonderful descending melody that pulls the listener into the song. By the time the chorus comes along, Macca goes for inversions to add texture to guitar chords by playing a C sharp under the A chord and an A under the D chord. Also, the staccato lines he plays under the trumpet solo keep the song up and hip while the band moves towards the chorus. To finish the tune, Macca goes into an ascending bass line that revolves in a whole note that fades away as the song ends. Drive My Car is one of those Beatles songs that relies on the bass line to push the band forward. For those listening to the tune, it's almost impossible to steer attention away from the amazing lyrics and guitar work. But Macca is Macca, right? To begin with, the licks and bits played between the chords are enough to keep the song upbeat and entertaining. The song gathers tension in the bridge as it moves into the chorus, and Paul resolves that with sheer simplicity and the perfect lick. McCartney plays quarter notes throughout the chorus, but plays a complex and powerful 8-note riff to transition to the verse again that's genius in its simple efficiency. Drive My Car is the perfect sample of how less is always more, as long as those bits and nuances during transitions keep the line rocking, pumping, and pushing the band forward. Paperback Writer. Arguably, the moment Paul switched to the Rickenbacker 4001S, which was late 64, his bass lines became punchier. This tune is harmonically very simple, with just a few chords and a plain guitar riff, so it became the perfect spot for Paul to play more. The main line under the riff moves the song forward. But there are many winks to old Motown recordings. Perhaps even some James Jameson influence in his playing. This is very clear in the syncopation behind the backing and lead vocals. Finally, when paying even closer attention to the bits and licks he plays throughout the song, it's easy to marvel at how, with just a few notes, he can do so much. For example, right around the second minute, while your ear is going with the vocals, your head is moving to Paul's playing. The entire song just repeats C and G, but Paul managed to add texture, motion, and nuances with just a few passing notes, the root, and the octave at the right time in the right place. Yes, he's a genius. Taxman. Taxman wouldn't be the song it is if it wasn't for Paul's brilliant bass playing. The roles of the guitar and the bass are inverted, and while the guitar plays bits of rhythmic chords, the bass takes the duty of the melody. and doesn't shy away from it. Macca creates a counterpoint between the root note and its octave, repeating the note and sliding in, creating a sonic artifact that works on its own as a riff or a lick, and that'll be the backbone of the song. That riff moves throughout the chorus, only changing the root note to match the song. Although that's the main motif that works throughout the tune, he introduces some cool, intricate variations that add even further motion to an already upbeat song. Yes, even geniuses like Paul, playing genius-like bass lines, get bored. And that makes them play even cooler stuff. Just don't try it at home, folks. A day in the life. Playing a present, pushing complex bass line in a ballad isn't an easy feat. But again, we're talking about genius-like inventiveness here. To begin with, the staccato notes in that descending line behind John's singing prevents the song from falling into typical cliché sounds. Nevertheless, like every genius, he also gets bored with what he came up with. So he adds small variations to every verse just to keep it interesting. By the time the song reaches the long C chord, he replaces the up and down picking with muted notes that add tension and change the feel entirely. He stays in that choppy mood throughout the psychedelic medley, adding some open notes to enhance depth. As if that wasn't enough, he then goes on to add a melodic line while he sings, because it was resulting just too easy for him. Finally, he plays a hypnotic musical line for just a few bars. Under the backing vocals that's as important to the tune as the vocals themselves. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. When asked about his prime as a bass player in 1995, Paul McCartney said that the time they were doing Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was the best for him. He could just sing some harmonies, play a little piano, and concentrate on playing bass. The results show, especially in this psychedelic masterpiece. The most remarkable playing is done in the chorus, where, using a mix of 8th and 16th notes, Paul makes the entire song move in a marching band way. That's not all, because that relentless walking bass line moves from the pre-chorus or bridge right into the changing time signature. Finally, as if that wasn't alone a great bass song, Paul adds an ascending scale underneath John's voice to reach the third chorus, which adds tension to then be resolved. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is still today one of the most puzzling and amazing Beatles tracks ever recorded, and Paul's bass line is one of the reasons why. Hey Bulldog. Hey Bulldog is a typical rock and roll Lennon song that moves forward relentlessly. Relentless is, in fact, a great way to describe Macca's work on this tune. Instead of utilizing rests, like most of his bass lines, what he does is move forward throughout the entire tune. Paul starts the song with a repeating pattern that copies the guitar. Next, he plays different versions of a walking bass line. That makes way for the bridge, a sliding pattern that's unlike any other section of the song. By the time the next verse comes along, he changes the pattern again, with a combination of 8th and 16th notes played with an up and down pick movement that makes the song bouncy but flowing. Finally, the last scale going down at the end of the tune is just magic. It appears only once and is great to give an end to the chaotic, noise-filled final section. Something. When George Harrison finally presented his songs to the Beatles, he was already a master songwriter. Something is the second most covered song by the Fab Four right after Yesterday. Paul knew it was something special for the band, so he created something special for the song. The first thing to say is that this is one of Macca's sweetest lines in his career with the Beatles and outside the band. He creates little bits of counter melody that work under the vocals. Not only that, the song grows more intense as it approaches the chorus, and the weight of the increscendo falls over Paul, who plays a great staccato line that drives the tune forward. Immediately after, he uses slides to create motion while playing the root note for the chords. And plays a rest-filled lick that joins parts together like superglue. Finally, the entire song is full of little bits, pieces, and riffs that embellish it and keep it interesting. This bass line he created for his friend George is one of the reasons we can call him a genius. It's one of those songs you can listen to with headphones and the bass in your hands to enjoy every variation. Come together. One of the best ways to describe geniuses is that they're completely inseparable from the song. You just can't take their part out and not have the entire song go down in flames. This is one of those cases. But McCartney goes even further, making it one of the easiest, most memorable moments in bass playing history. To begin with, the song's main riff comes from his sliding and note choice. He plays it full in the intro, and then plays a variation for the bridge. Another show of his talent is how he resolves the piano medley part by playing a staccato line with downstrokes only, over a single note. He finishes that section with a few hammer-ons and pull-offs over the same notes he's played the whole song. And it's so tasty, it's irresistible. The little nuances continue when he adds a bit of motion to the same line, with just a hammer-on in some beats. That slowly turns into a steady note. And then new patterns played between 8th and 16th notes that end up becoming the closing coda, which, again, is different from everything else he played throughout the song. This is Paul showing off by not showing off. He plays exactly what the song needs, using a plethora of resources with perfect timing and exquisite taste.